Hello, everyone. My guest today is Jeff Cope. He's the founder and CEO of InspectionXpert and has a passion for helping precision manufacturers transform inefficient paper procedures into efficient, standardized, fully traceable, and secure digital processes. Jeff, are you ready to take us to the top?
I am.
All right. So InspectionXpert, break this down for us. For those of us not familiar with precision manufacturing, what do you do and how do you make money?
So what InspectionXpert does is it helps companies who make very precise parts. So think aircraft engines, cars, things that are really precise. So a shoe manufacturer, if the shoe's off by a couple millimeters, nobody's going to die. If a jet engine's off by a thousandth of an inch, the jet engine can explode. So companies who make really precision parts, typically out of metal, sometimes plastic, have to do quality inspections on that. Our software enables that and enables them to do it very efficiently.
So is your revenue model a pure play SaaS company?
It is.
Ah, very good.
Yeah.
Okay, so give me a general sense. I'm sure you work with a lot of different customers, but on average, what's the company pay per year for your software?
So if I understood the question, you want to know what type of companies we work with?
And not what type, Jeff, but because I'm sure you have a bunch of different cohorts of customers. My question is, on average, what's the company pay you per year to access this kind of software?
Got it. Okay, so we have two types. We basically have two softwares. So InspectionXpert basically takes a CAD model or a CAD drawing and tolerances on the model with uniquely numbered balloons and extracts all the dimensions, the expected values, so that it basically makes a checklist for the quality inspector, so they can do QA/QC on the actual part and make sure the as-built part aligns with the as-designed part as designed by the engineer. So our software that builds that checklist starts at $1,500 per user per year for 2D PDF. If they want to move up to a 3D model with and import their CMM results from the coordinate measuring machines, which is a fancy machine that measures precisely, then it's $4,500 per year US. For Quality Expert, which is a full, it's kind of a hybrid between a quality management system and a manufacturing execution system, which runs on the shop floor. Instead of just running on the quality inspector's computer, it runs at the machinist workstation, so they can actually inspect all the parts as they come off the machine, manages the gauges, kind of does quality for the entire job shop. That runs anywhere between $7,500 per year for a small job shop of less than 20 people to $90,000 a year for a job shop of over 100 people.
And Jeff, just because you have two separate products and probably lots of different customers on each of them, the potential combinations of ACVs are literally in the thousands. So to simplify things for the rest of the show, I mean, your kind of perfect fit customer, your average, are they paying maybe 10 grand a year for 3 or 4 3D seats?
Something like that, yeah.
Something in that range. Okay. Now, have you built out an inside sales team around closing those kinds of deals, or how are you driving sales?
Yeah, so all of our sales are inside web sales. Most of them are, to be honest, responding to requests for information from inbound marketing. I would say something like 85% of our business comes from inbound. And we're just now starting to get into SDR type outbound appointment setting. We're having some very early success with it. We tried it earlier, maybe 3-4 years ago. We tried it. That the technology wasn't that advanced, like with the voicemail drop and the calling and all that. We used a popular CRM software at the time, and the softwares that worked with that CRM were crap. They were expensive.
So Jeff, put all this on a timeline for me. When did you launch the company? What year?
2004 is when I officially started the company, but 2008 is when we actually started selling products.
Okay, so how did you support yourself for those 4 years while I assume you were building the software?
Yeah, so I 2008 is when I quit my day job. So I basically, from 8 o'clock at night, which is when my small children at the time went to bed, until about 2 a.m., which is when I would fall asleep from exhaustion. I coded the software at night. So I'm not a software developer. I'm a mechanical engineer. My battery has stopped charging. Let me get my cord going again.
Yeah, take your time.
So basically, I taught myself how to code so that I could write the software. And it took me 4 years to write the software initially and learn how to code at the same time.
Okay. And the way you were supporting yourself is you still have the day job.
Still had the day job. But in 2008, I quit my day job, naively thinking that, our revenue when I quit was a little over $70,000 for the year. And that's what I was making as an application engineer, and that all that $70,000 would go to me, but I needed people almost immediately. So for the first 3 years, I think I made between 16,000 the first year and 24,000 the fourth year. Is what, my salary went from 70,000 a year down to 16,000, and I was the sole breadwinner. It was very painful.
That's crazy. Now, what do you got in terms of scale today?
So we're 3.1 million revenue, annual recurring revenue run rate right now. But it looks like we're expecting to do 5 million next year.
Jeff, you're cutting out there. 3.1 million today, 5 million next year. Was that right?
That's right.
And where were you at about a year ago? So if you're doing 3.1 million today, that means you're doing about 258 grand per month right now. What were you doing again in November 2017?
We did 2.5. We were at 2.5, just over like 2.5 and change.
Okay, that's great. So then you would have been doing maybe 180K a month about a year ago.
Yeah. So for the first 7 years, we were seeing 50 to 75% growth year over year. In 2014, we made the switch from a perpetual license software model to the full SaaS play and annual recurring revenue. And we hit a trough. It took about 3 years for us to figure out the annual recurring model. Part of it is our resellers and our customer base weren't in manufacturing. It wasn't. People weren't ready for that. We maybe made the jump a little early. It took us a while to get the infrastructure, the right people. We had to change some of our staff. But now we've hit our stride.
That's great. And did you do all this? Are you bootstrapped or have you raised capital?
100% bootstrap.
I love that. Okay. And how many people are on the team?
We've got 20 people right now.
All based where?
Apex, North Carolina.
North Carolina. Very good. All right. So 20 people in North Carolina. And then break down that 20 for me. How many of them are engineers versus sales and marketing?
So, and we do use some outside contractors. So we've got basically on our product team, we've got 6 people. On our sales and marketing team, we've got 4 people, and the rest is a mix. That's great.
So when you look at, if you have 250,000 bucks per month right now on revenue, or about 3.1 million bucks per year, and you have, how many customers are you serving today?
Oh, and we have 6 contractors in addition to those 20 people.
Okay. So 26. How many customers today?
We've got over 2,000 customers.
Okay. So 2,000 customers divided into your current run rate. That would mean each customer is paying on average, something like 130 bucks a month, something like that.
Something like that. Yeah. But we have a couple of large customers.
Of course. And a long tail. Yeah.
That's right.
Well, the reason I bring that up is because I'm curious how aggressive you're being in terms of customer growth. So what's your customer acquisition cost today? Fully weighted.
Yeah. So I would have to defer to, I'm not sure. So my COO would know that.
Do you know, generally speaking, when you have strategy meetings, how aggressive you're willing to be? In other words, if you have to spend 10 grand to get a $10,000 per year customer, would you spend that?
We would, but we're not being that aggressive right now. So we just, maybe 3 months ago started doing the AdWords and the pay, the pay-per-click type stuff. So we're just getting that going again. Up until a year ago, we didn't even have a marketing person.
Yeah. You had the salespeople though, right? Fielding all the inbound.
Yeah, we had salespeople. That's where most of our CAC came from.
Of course.
Now that we have the full-time marketing person, she just implemented HubSpot maybe 6 months ago, building the collateral. She's fully instrumented our funnel, and we're just getting now to the paid. The paid CAC.
But even when you ignore direct paid spend, you still have CAC because of you have salespeople and the marketing person. So, I mean, do you generally know how effective they've been in landing new customers?
Yeah. So we've got, it's gone up tremendously, but our over from 2008 to say last year, for the first 9 years, we got about a 20% close rate. Once for the MQL to close.
Yeah, that's great. Very good. And then churn's critical in a SaaS company. What's your churn today, and how do you make sure to keep that low?
So our churn this time last year was around 90%. Not our churn, sorry. Our renewal rate was 90%.
Yeah.
Our churn was 10%. That's gone down. Now we're under 8% on our churn.
Okay, so that's under 8% revenue churn per year?
Yes.
That's really healthy. And what enabled you to drive that down by a couple points?
Well, we hired a full-time customer success person. We implemented software called WalkMe for onboarding new customers, and implemented customer surveys, and we doubled down on customer success. So every time, a lot of the churn was people who had never implemented. For whatever reason, the person who was intending to use the software got distracted or left the company, or they just never got around to getting up and running. So now when we close a deal, within 2 weeks of closing the deal, our customer success person has done a training session and has walked them through onboarding.
That's great. We're running out of time here. So last few questions. Do you know what your expansion revenue is? In other words, if you sign a customer up today for 10 grand per year, in a year, will they renew for 12 grand, 15 grand? How much do you expand them by?
Right. This has just changed dramatically. So we went from a complicated pricing model to a good, better, best pricing model. And we've upgraded somewhere close to 40% to that middle, the mid-tier, the $2,500 model. So I don't know what the exact numbers are. I can find out.
That's okay. Do you know what your net revenue retention number is?
I can find it out, but I don't know.
No, that's okay. The reason I'm asking is, so if you have 8% revenue churn per year, I'm curious if your expansion upsells from that same cohort more than yeah.
Right. Yeah. There is some offset there. Yeah. But what I can tell you is just the number of customers churning has gone down dramatically since in terms, not just revenue, in terms of number of customers since we implemented.
Yeah. I'd argue the revenue churn is actually way more important than logo churn because it's a function, but it sounds like you're moving both in the right direction, which is great. Jeff, let's wrap up here with the famous 5. Number 1, what's your favorite business book?
I would say Blue Ocean Strategy.
Number 2, is there a CEO you're following or studying?
Yeah, I really like, it's a tough one. There's a lot of them, but I would say Tony Hsieh from Zappos.
And number 3, what's your favorite online tool for building the company?
Favorite online tool for building the company.
What tool do you use the most?
So I use, I'm a product guy, so I use Balsamiq. I do a lot of mock-ups.
I do too. I love Balsamiq. Number 4, how many hours of sleep do you get every night?
Between 4 and 5.
That is, how do you manage that? It seems so unhealthy.
It is, yeah. Well, it's gotten better. It's starting over the last, I'd say. So I actually sold the company 2 months ago, and it's now I'm getting about 6.
Who'd you sell to?
IdeaGen.
Why'd you sell?
Yeah. So basically, I've done this for 14 years now, and I've kind of, started feeling like I was covering the same ground and doing the same thing, and looking to maybe, have some money to throw at the next problem.
That's great. Can you give me a general range? I'm curious what the market's like today. I mean, are you talking selling for like 3 or 4x, or was it more like 10 or 11x?
We did 3x.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was mainly because of that 2014 to 2017, the rough patch. If I had waited a year, we could have sold for more.
Yeah, no, that makes good sense. All right, last questions here. What's your current situation? Married, single, kiddos?
Married with 3 kids.
3, and how old are you?
I'm 46.
46. Last question, Jeff. What do you wish your 20-year-old self knew?
That basically when you're 20 years old, you're unencumbered. You can eat ramen noodles. You can, you have such freedom that's the best time to start a business. And it doesn't matter what you don't know. You just get busy. This is the best time in the history of the world to be an entrepreneur.
Guys, take more risks earlier on. InspectionXpert, founded back in 2004, helping precision manufacturers make sure their 2D and 3D balloons and extrapolations match the actual physical products once they're printed. Currently serving 2,000 customers at about $130 per month. So doing about 3.1 million bucks in ARR today. That's up from about, call it 180 grand per month just a year ago. So healthy growth. Bootstrap, the company, sold it about 2 months ago for 3x or about 3x ARR. So call it somewhere in the 9 million-ish range. Churn's gone in the right direction. 8% revenue churn per year today. Team of 20 based in North Carolina. Jeff, thanks for taking us to the top.
Thanks, Nathan.